Hi guys, uh, welcome. Let's start. Let's not waste much time because I am streaming with my camera on a battery, so I don't have much time. Okay, to start off with, we'll just go through the parts that we'll be using, and then we'll just go through the process from start to end. I will be using the Skyreach S4, uh, S4, uh, yeah, the NFC Skyreach S4. Which is a small form factor PC case. It's smaller than the PS4 as well. And right now it's completely opened up, and I just have the chassis here with me. And I think we'll get to see it quickly as soon as we start assembling. But first things first, before we start any assembly process, the first thing which we should be doing is testing if all the parts are going to work. And that's what we will do before we start assembling the whole PC together. Okay, the parts that we need right now, the tools that we would need, we just need one screwdriver which has a Phillips screw head on it, and one maybe jewelry or a watch screwdriver which has a small Phillips screwdriver head on it. It might be useful for putting together the M.2 or some other parts inside. So, alright. The motherboard that I'm using is an MSI. I think it's MSI ITX B450, and this is like one of the cheapest bang for your buck that you can get. This is the cheapest bang for your buck motherboard that you can get. It in fact has six USB ports, which I really love. And you'll see that I have a button over here. This is basically just a reset button that I've attached to the CMOS button because sometimes when I mess around with the overclock uh, or just the DRAM settings, I end up messing up my BIOS and I have to reset it. So instead of just manually and physically just trying to reset it again and again with the screwdriver, I just got this reset button from an old PC together with it. I have Corsair Vengeance DDR4 RAM. This is running at 3200 uh, and does it have? Yeah, it has the XMP profile enabled for it. This is the old AMD Ryzen 2600 that I had on it. And I will be replacing this with this one, a Ryzen 5 5600X, which I just picked up very recently. For the for the cooling, I'll be using the Noctua LH9A. This is an AMD specific cooler, will not work with Intel motherboards. There is a similar version for Intel as well, which comes with an adapter to use with the AMD motherboards, but that's slightly smaller in terms of a heatsink size. This has a slightly larger heatsink, so that's why I prefer to go with this instead of the Intel one. And for storage, we have an M.2 SSD, if I can find it. Yes, this is a 1 terabyte Kingston M.2 SSD. And for the power supply, I will be using, my plan is to go brickless, so I'll be using the SDPlex SD400. This should be sufficient to power what we want. And the main thing, what we all need to see and try to assemble today and see my struggle is the GPU. The GPU is an EVGA RTX 3060 XE. This is one of the few GPUs that will actually fit in a brickless build in the S4, Skyreach S4. So let's first put all of it together. Let's connect it and we will run a test and see if it can work properly or not. Okay. If you have any questions in between, you can just type them in the chat and I'll try to answer them. Okay. So let's go with this. No, okay. One thing I like to do always when opening up boxes like this which are sealed is to open them from the back. I don't know why, but this is sealed from the back as well. So let's just open it up from the top. and we'll get something to cut it. Okay, this is when we start building PCs, it's a bit worrying uh, for anyone who's doing it for the first time. Like, what do I do? I don't want to mess things up. But the best thing that you do first is to read the manuals for everything, especially for your motherboard, because that will tell you where all the pins are and what the layouts are and how you have to connect those pins. So that's once that part is sorted, I think it's much easier to get everything else in place. All right. I will begin with the CPU. Now you'll see that the CPU has a small golden triangle on it. All right, it's here, and this is a dot. All right. Now your motherboard will also have a small triangle indicated on the. Oh, you can't see it because it's manual focus, but there is a golden arrow on one corner, and that arrow you have to align it with an arrow that will be there on the motherboard as well. Giveaway cub. Hi, lucky lad. Hi, Dev. Hi, Anand. Can you turn up the volume? Okay, sure. I will try to turn up the volume a little bit more. Properties. Add gain. Okay, so I hope this is a bit better. I just added some gain. Now, hi Garv. Okay, so we are talking about assembling the processor first. Now, when you take it out, you'll see that one of the corners will have a golden triangle marked on it. Over here, it is on this side. And you will have a marking on your motherboard as well, which will show you where the CPU should go. So basically, you just align the triangle in the same place and you drop your CPU in it. Now, no need to press it or move it, just push the lever down, and that's locked in now. There's nothing else to do over here. The RAM, I've already connected them, but I think one thing I want to show you is when you actually connect your RAM, there will be a pin over here, and the RAM cannot go the other way around because this will not align with it otherwise. There is only one way for your RAM sticks to go in. So you just put them in, make sure that the pin is actually pulled out, and and then you have to just push your RAM inside until you hear a snap, and this lever that was pulled out goes back. You see that? So it just went back in, and you'll hear a small snap, and you'll see this lever actually going all the way inside. Now, so we have connected the CPU, we have connected the RAM, and since we are going to be using an M.2 SSD, we will connect that as well. Now, in some motherboards, you will have the M.2 somewhere here on the side, but in this motherboard, I have it here behind. Now, some would have it even in both places. Now, that depends on which motherboard you pick up. And we'll just find a small screw for this. Here we go. And see, it's a very simple process. You just need to have a thought process that you're going to follow, and you go take it step by step, and it's pretty easy. All right. So now we have the small screw that will fit inside so that it holds the M.2 in place. Okay, so for stuff like this, I would like to use the small screwdriver, which I have conveniently misplaced now. No, here it is. Found it. and try to get a magnetic screwdriver. I don't have a magnetic one. This is the magnetic, but the small one isn't. So if you misplace your screws or if they fall down somewhere, it becomes much easier to actually get them back. And it also becomes easier to thread them in with a magnetic screwdriver. Okay, so there we go. M.2 is in place. Now, next, we need to connect the power sockets before we connect no, actually, we'll connect the CPU cooler first, and then we will connect the power pins and the GPU in the end. Now, the cooler installation will depend on which cooler you're using. Now, this Noctua cooler has a backplate which goes in behind the motherboard, and the cooler then fits in from the top. Now, normal practice is to actually assemble the PC outside, test it, and then take out your GPU and then with the motherboard connected with everything, with all the other components, you put that in and then you reconnect the power connectors and your GPU. That's the normal way you would want to build your PC, and that makes it much easier to assemble it as well. So, alright, now one thing which I'm going to do when I'm putting my CPU socket, CPU cooler is to see how I want to align this wire. Okay, so the CPU cooler can go either this way or this way. It won't go in this way because it can't fit. Now, if I do it this way, I have my CPU fan pin out over here. So if I do it like this, I'll be having a big loop. So instead, what I'm planning to do is have it installed like this, and I will run this cable over here, and then it will go into my CPU pin, CPU cooler pin. Okay, so that's my plan. Now, before we do any of that, we go back and we try to install this plate that's there. And there is only one of two ways in which the plate can go. And this is the part I don't really like about this cooler, because you have to sandwich it from the top and the bottom. So when you apply the thermal paste, it's very tricky. Or I mean, I don't know how to assemble it. The only way we can do it is just have this first. This is how I did it last time. So I do it like this. Have this here, something like this. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not comfortable with this kind of a pinout. It's very awkward and very uncomfortable. But let's try one thing that I just thought of right now, is we use this as a base for me so that I can just push it on the side and get my screws back in place, right? So yeah, okay. Okay, so let's do that, and let's connect this over here, going on top. So the plan is I'll just slide it out like this and I'll tighten the screws, right? Now we will use thermal paste before we put the CPU cooler. Now the thermal paste I'm using is Arctic Silver MX4. I bought this long back and I still have this tube with me. And it even has the isopropyl pad which I never used. So the amount of thermal paste that you want to use now, this is a big debate. People have different opinions. What I follow is I looked up uh, Noctua's website on how to apply the thermal paste for this specific cooler, and that's what I'm going to follow. So the website says that we just make a small cross, and I'll do that. And I don't want to go overboard with it. That's enough. Enough. And one thing I'm going to add by myself are these dots. It was not there on the Noctua website, but I'm doing it. And let's get that out of here. let's connect. You don't want to get this on your fingers like I did. It's very messy and it's difficult to get out and very annoying. And you have to scrub your hands pretty hard after doing that. So let's put this back. Okay. Next is the thermal solution over here. And it's going to go on top. And I have to align these screw holes with these screws. So let me see. I don't want to lift it up. I want to make sure that I dropped it in correctly, because otherwise I'll have to reapply the thermal paste, you know. I don't want to do that. So I'm trying to tighten the screw from the other side slowly with my thumbs. And if you have a small screwdriver or an L-shaped screwdriver, that would be very great at this time. Very helpful. Okay, so we have one side in. I can feel the heatsink moving in a little bit. Hi Mansi, hi Litty. I can feel the heatsink has moved a little bit, but I'm not that worried about it now. And here we go from the third side. Wow. And the fourth side as well. I'm just tightening them up enough so that it allows me to flip it over. There you go. Put it on the fan, and now we tighten the screws. Now, the way they have to be tightened up, in the manual it mentions that you have to do it in a diagonal pattern. So you do one corner and then you do the diagonally opposite corner. And don't tighten it all the way, just tighten it up a little bit until you start feeling it reaching its end. Once you have tightened up all the four, now you tighten it a little bit more until it stops turning. Don't apply too much pressure. You don't want to bend the top part of your CPU. Again, now I went in a clockwise direction. I should have gone anti-clockwise direction, but do as I say, not as I do. Okay, let's get this out of the way now. So the heatsink is installed. Now the heatsink will differ based on what heatsink you are using, what case you are using. Okay, now this one would have required me to install it before putting it in the case. So that's what we have done now. And we will slide this below the heatsink, I guess. Yep, below the heatsink. Try to take it out if it can cooperate with us. And if it doesn't, then we force it. Okay. Seems like it is cooperating nicely. I should have actually plugged it in before I installed this. No. Okay, so I'll try to push it here like this instead. Yeah. Try to get it below the heatsink, and now that's it, connected. Now this is the fun part of building in an ITX motherboard, right? This is a very small, very small motherboard, and once assembled, this will actually be smaller than a PS4 and the new PS5 as well, and definitely smaller than the new Xbox. So it has a very small footprint. It can fit inside a laptop bag if you really want to do that. So that's what I enjoy about building in an ITX motherboard. Alright, so now that part is completed. I will connect the GPU, but I will connect it with the PCI riser that comes with this specific case. And the reason why I want to do it is I want to know if the GPU will behave nicely with the riser as well. Because sometimes there might be an issue with the riser and the GPU might not work with it. Alright, so the way this goes here, and we lock it. There is a lock over here on the GPU side. So I will lock that and I will connect this as well. I think it's going to be a bit challenging in keeping this up somehow. So, okay, we'll use the mouse. Let's use the mouse for keeping it in place. Just hold for a second. I just missed out on some chat. Which motherboard and which CPU? Motherboard is an MSI B450 Gaming Max something something. So it's an ITX motherboard. It's a B450 and I had to upgrade the BIOS for this CPU and I have not checked it. I will be checking it for the first time on stream. If the BIOS update was successful or not. So yes, that's how we do things here. Now, as far as the wires from the uh, PSU are concerned, okay, now what wires are going to go where? No signal. Okay. Yeah, your cam went off. I'll just switch it back on. It keeps doing that because it's in camera mode, not in the video mode. Yeah, so we are back. Okay. Now, with regards to the PSU cables, which go where, there will be two cables which will go to the motherboard. Now, there are two parts in the motherboard where it will get connected. All right, let me just put this up here slightly so we can see this better. All right. Now, the first one is an 8 pin over here. This will be giving power to your CPU. The second one is a 24 pin over here. This will power up everything else on your motherboard. So the RAM, these fans, the audio and all of that stuff. So those will be two cables which will come from your motherboard to your, from your PSU to your motherboard. Is it buffering? Because it's showing me that it is. Or is it okay? Alright. I'm guessing it's going to be okay. Now, so those will be the two wires which will go there. Now, it's better to get a modular PSU. What is a modular PSU? You'll see normally when you get PSUs, you'll just have one thick wire coming out and then you'll have all of these ketchup and mustard cables coming out from it on the other side. And you cannot remove them, all the extra wires, you just have to stuff them in. You haven't seen this weirdly shaped PSU anywhere. You wouldn't have because this is uh, a very unique PSU. Now this is the power unit and this is the DC converter. So this has basically what you would get in one PSU, it has split it into two. So it makes it much smaller and it can fit inside this specific case, allowing me to make it smaller than a PS4. So alright, we are talking about modular PSU. So what a modular PSU would do is it would have different pins like this, where you connect only those wires which you need and the wires which you don't need, you do not connect. So here I need one for my PC, for the GPU, two for my motherboard, which I have here, connected them here, and one which is going to the main power unit. You will not have this in a normal PSU. If you take a normal modular PSU, you would have only three wires coming out of it. and maybe a fourth one if you wanted to use hard drives, like a SATA hard drive, like one of these kind of hard drives, right? These SSDs or 2.5 or 3.5 hard drives. Then you would have another cable that you would attach, which would have ends like these on them. So that's why it's better to have a modular PSU. It's slightly expensive than a normal PSU, but it makes cable management a lot easier. So we'll start connecting everything to the motherboard first, and then we will switch it on and check if it works. All right. And we pray that it does, because when I was assembling this the first time, I actually shorted a fuse and nearly blew up every PC component that was there. So hopefully this time it goes better. In case the stream stops, then then we know what's happened. All right. Let me get this. It's acting weird. Should be here. That's why it's acting weird. Okay, so this is the 24 pin. I just connected the 8 pin. Now I'm connecting the 24 pin. So let's do that. This is one of the toughest cables to get out from a motherboard, the 24 pin. It feels like, you're trying to lift up Thor's hammer. So that's done. We make sure it's a bit far. We do not want to short anything. And oh yes, one more thing that I'm going to do is, okay, this is the power connector for the GPU. Actually, let me take this out. So I don't want to bend the PCI rise, I guess. This is the power connector for the GPU over here. Now I'm using a 90-degree connector, and you'll see why when we get towards the final assembly and put all of this together inside the case. And we will go like this because that is broken. So this is my 8 pin for the GPU. That's connected as well. So now we connect the GPU back. Connected, hopefully. I need to figure out a way to make this work. We have HDMI cable that will connect, and we have the power cable that will connect here. And how do I switch it on? That is something you guys might be wondering. And we will use a small trick to switch it on. Before you try this, do read the manual to check where it is. Okay, there are 2 pins for the power connector, which you can short with the help of a screwdriver and switch the PC on. Now, in this motherboard, it's these last 2 pins over here. So make sure you read the manual before you try this. Otherwise, you might short some wrong pins and you might have some unexpected and unwanted outcomes. So always read the manual. Now let's just try connecting it to the, okay, monitor is connected, and I'll just try shorting these pins and wish me luck. Okay. If it's the correct pins, you'll see the fan starting to spin. And I need to first figure out something for my GPU. Damn. Maybe I'll just hold it like this. With the help of this. Yes. So there are pins behind this PCI riser, which I don't want touching. Okay, that's fine. So now let's short it. Okay, wish me luck. Not short it, sorry. Let's short these fuses and get it connected. It's not starting. Did I do something wrong? Okay. Contingency plan. We will take out this and connect it. We'll try to make that work. I think I was touching the wrong pins. That's why it wasn't starting. Let's try this. Start. Come alive. Why are you not alive? Apparently I have not read the manual nicely. Is there a switch on the PSU to turn it on or off? No, there isn't. The PSU just connects and it's switched on. So did I connect everything correctly though? Okay, the PSU does show that it's switched on. And I have the 8 pin, I have the 24 pins connected correctly. And let's see again. Let's try again to switch it on. Why are you not switching on, my dear? Okay, let's quickly read the manual on my mobile. We could alright, it's back, it's okay. I haven't seen this weirdly shaped. I like this risk. Yes. I think that's one thing I don't like about the way I do things. I do them first and then I try to figure out how to do them. So funny. Okay, right now what I'm just trying to do is search the manual for the motherboard online. I have a hard copy, but I threw it away because who keeps paper nowadays? Uh, yes. Okay. Here you go. See, it shows here on the pin layout. The power switch is number 8 and number 6. So number 8 and number 6 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's showing the number over here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8. So it would be these two pins, right? 8 and 6. So the ones right next to the blank one. So those two pins. So let's try that. You see, if this works, then it also means that if you touch the wrong pins, doesn't mean that you... Okay, that's not supposed to sound the way it did. No, it's fine. Okay, so let's see and wait for the signal on the TV. The fans will rotate and come on and off for a while because it's updating the BIOS. Alright, so that will happen. That's normal. That happens when you update the BIOS. So I just want to see if these fans are spinning for the PSU GPU. No, the GPU fans are not yet spinning. Cool. So odd, so weird, so nice. Okay. I'll take the chance of having the GPU on the floor. Now it might take a while for it to start especially when you have updated the BIOS and you have connected a new CPU to it. Hi Bushit, kya haal hai? And my TV just wants to know new device. Okay, cable PC. Alright, so I can see the BIOS is updating. DRAM frequency detected ATPI devices charged CPU or memory or CMOS has been cleared. Please enter setup to configure your system. Press F1 to configure and F2 to load default values. So we will press F1 and try to see what we can do because it's running the DRAM in a very weird thing. It's not accepting my keyboard for some reason. I need a wired keyboard maybe. Or I need to actually connect a keyboard, which I haven't done. So smart. Let me get the keyboard. Wait. Ouch. What is the upgrade? The CPU and GPU has been upgraded. So I upgraded from a 2600 Ryzen 5 to Ryzen 5 5600X. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we'll just load the default and reboot. And we'll see if it's working fine. I'll set up the RAM and all of that later. But I didn't know this, that it actually resets the CMOS and clears up the BIOS. The fan, I think I haven't installed it correctly because it's making this weird noise. Oh no, it's this fan. It's the GPU fan. That's fine. It's a Bluetooth. It wasn't a Bluetooth thing. It was a wireless one. So okay, so it's connected. I don't know if I can show it to you. No, I'll have to take out the camera and all of that. The system has booted up correctly and it's showing me the loading screen. So that's fine. We'll just close it now. Alt F4. I'm not using the mouse. Why? So we'll just shut this down and we will put it together inside the case, which will be the more interesting part. So we have done the testing and it works fine. So we know all the components are fine. And this stage is important so that you can test your components before you actually spend all the time uh, trying to put it together, you know. So this will save a lot of effort because it's always uh, not a nice experience to put it all together inside the PC and then you find out that, oh my gosh, it doesn't work. So I need to do something. Alright, so we will disconnect this. The GPU bullshit is RTX 3060. RTX 3060 XE. Okay, so now everything we will disconnect. In terms of wires, we will disconnect. So all these pins will go out, everything will go out. And the GPU will be disconnected first. And then this. Okay. So we have the 90-degree connector. We have the 8 pin coming out. It's best to have a checklist if you're that kind of a person. I'm not. If I was that kind of a person, you would have seen this GPU already connected. Sorry, the keyboard already connected. And this is the part that I hate, removing the 24 pin cable. Okay. Done. Okay. So we take out and keep the GPU on the side. We keep the PSU on the side. It's big and bulky GPU. keep that on the side, and we bring the case and we start assembling in the case. Right now, it's I prefer to actually do my cable management before I do anything else. But the first thing that you need to do with any PC build when you're starting off with the case. Okay, there are new motherboards which have this, but some motherboards don't have it. The IO shield. Please make sure that this is the first thing you install. My first build, I assembled everything together and I forgot the IO shield. And my PC was running naked for 2 weeks, after which I finally decided that no, I cannot let this happen. I should put the IO shield back. So please put the IO shield first, and then you do whatever you want with assembling the PC, right? Okay. So we have the IO shield in place. Uh, I removed my temporary power cable, and these are the power connectors from this case. So we have the power and we have the LED. So this will go here and this will go here. Now, if you are making or assembling a PC which has fan cases as well, you might want to assemble those now before you put the motherboard inside, and fit your case fan first inside the PC case, and before you actually screw your motherboard into the standoffs, before that you connect it to the PC cooling cases. Right, because otherwise you will be having to fidget around. See, if I were to connect the CPU fan over here, the case fan, it's here. And if you have a motherboard with 2 or 3 system fans, the second and the third one might be somewhere here. So you'll be playing around in very small spaces, right? So you might want to actually uh, install that before you put your motherboard inside the case. So it makes it a bit easy to install it, and the whole process is much smoother that way. Okay, so now how do we slide this inside? You align these peripheral inputs with those inside your IO shield that you have just fixed, hopefully, and you just keep it there and you slide it in until it's on top of the standoffs, and that's it, done. Okay, so this is the motherboard in its place correctly, and we will get the screws and put this in place now. So 4 screws in this motherboard. Some might have 6 if you have a larger motherboard, but this has 4, and we'll start off doing those 4. The Phillips screwdriver, let's start connecting that. Okay. So the fun part is going to be actually when we start trying to put the GPU, because this is such a small case, right? This is the PC case. This much. This is the PC case. That's it. But I can show you the mouse. This one, two, two, three. 3 times the length of this mouse. That's how long this PC case is. And if you are into centimeters, I can tell you quickly how many centimeters it is as well, because each one of these squares is 1 centimeter, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 14 centimeters. This is 14 centimeters, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 centimeters. So it's 9 by 14 centimeters. That's it. That's how small this PC is. And the highest config that you can get inside this case with this PSU is a 3060 Ti. That's the most powerful GPU that you can fit inside this case, and that's a pretty decent setup. I mean, to be honest, it's more than pretty decent. Okay, so we have those 4 screws. We'll now turn it around and let's see if we need to do some cable management for the power connector. Guess we can slide it in slightly. Have it here. Yeah. Try to pull it a little bit. Because I don't want it running around in this place too much, right? I'll just put it here. Okay, we'll just loosen it up maybe and try to redo some of it. Just a little bit. I'm not taking the screws out completely. Just enough to give us space to move it around. Now, even if you don't have the manual, there are some motherboards which will have everything labeled very nicely on the motherboard itself. Uh, in my previous case, that's what was there. I had an Asus motherboard, and everything was labeled correctly and very conveniently on the motherboard, and it made things so much easier while putting it together because I really did not have to read the manual at all. Okay, so this part is done. Well, I am trying to manage these cables because the case has very little space, and even one cable coming out will make things difficult. And in general, I think it's good practice to actually have neatly done cables. So spend some time doing your cable management and you'll feel really good about your PC build. Okay, so we need to hook it out from here. Small screwdriver. You might not need to do so much cable management in your case. Um, this case has very little space, so I have to do this. It's something I need to do. I don't have an option. If you have a different case, obviously your priorities might be different. But as I said, in general, it's better to have some better cable management and properly done cable management rather than having a mess. So that's done. Okay, I'll just show you how neatly those wires are. So there we go. Okay, so that's it. And they just come out over here and they loop on this side. Done. No naughty gang. शर्म नहीं आती असद भाई. How did I manage to get the GPU? And how much did I spend? I got the GPU as a gift. Okay, my wife said, this is your budget. This is your budget for your birthday gift. What do you want to get? She wanted to get me a gaming laptop. And I said, don't get me a gaming laptop. Okay, I'm not going to use it. If you give me a gaming laptop, I might probably just sell it and buy something else. So I bought this for 250 KD, which is around 60,000 rupees, 61,000 rupees. That's what I got paid for it. I could have got a 3060 Ti slightly cheaper, but the guy who was selling it, he had already committed to someone else that he's going to sell it to him. So he said that if that guy backs off, I'll sell it, but obviously the buyer did not back off, and I could not get that GPU. Otherwise, we would have seen a 3060 Ti inside this case. Sad. I missed it by a day. Just one day. Shit happens. Okay. Now I'm going to keep this CMOS reset button here conveniently for me so that I can reset it whenever I want to. I wanted to fit it in like this somehow so that I can just use it from behind. But I can't find anything to fix it. There are no screws or anything, so tough. I just leave it here, just like that, lying around. Now the fun part is assembling with the GPU. Okay. Okay. This needs some puzzle solving, not as much as the old GPU, thank God. Okay. So, let's just put it in like this. Okay, done. PCU done. GPU also done. We'll just screw this in here. Sorry for it not being focused. I have used manual focus to save on battery. This is much simpler than what I actually thought. Yeah, you'll get the signal. Just give me a second. It will keep happening every 29 minutes and 59 seconds. Okay, we are back. I guess we are back. No, I should not connect this first. I should not connect this first. This is the puzzle that it takes, every time. Why can't I connect this first is because I can't bend this behind. So first I need to connect it and then slide it in place. Okay. Now we can make it stand up again and have it connected. It seems like there is some tension going on here which is not allowing me to slide the GPU as much as it should. Like without the connector it slid. Like it slid in easily without the PCI cable, but with it in place it's not yielding for some reason. कोई नहीं ज़बरदस्ती करना पड़ेगा उसके साथ. Okay, let's see, that's done. Okay, now we connect the screw. I'm connecting one screw only. If you have two, connect two. My budget one का ही है. That's why. असद भाई देखो रात को तुमको ना पता नहीं क्या क्या ख्याल आता है. ओके असद भाई बिगड़ गए. ये इस पे रहेगा ऐसे बैलेंस करके? आई एम वरीड. एनीवेज चलो, fine. That part sorted. Now the GPU. No, the PSU now. Something is not right. Wait. Something is not right. See, this is not right. This is definitely not right. Okay. Now this seems better. This is more like it. जाओ भाई जाओ. असद भाई is watching this stream, लेकिन असद भाई तुम तो console player हो ना यार. तुम कभी बना रहे हो पीसी? When are you making it? Please tell us. ये स्क्रूज ना जितना टाइट मेरे को करना था उतना हो नहीं रहा है ये टाइट. बहुत मुझे टेंशन आ रहा है अंदर से. ये देख कैसे हिल रहा है ये. इतना नहीं होना चाहिए इसको मूवमेंट. काश मेरे पास और स्क्रूज होते इसको जगह पे रखने. नहीं यार ये सही नहीं लग रहा है कुछ तो. स्क्रूज ढूंढने पड़ेंगे और यार ढूंढते स्क्रूज ढूंढते. ये सही रहेगा लगता है. हैव यू मेल्टेड द ग्रिल? बताता हूँ बताता हूँ. गुड ऑब्जर्वेशन वंसी. दिस इज अ मच बेटर स्क्रू. साला बहुत बड़ा है लेकिन ये स्क्रू. ठीक है, दो एच डी में इधर आएंगे. उल्टा डाल देता ना. नहीं उल्टा डालेंगे तो स्क्रू वो नहीं आएगा. This I had to cut it with a pair of wire cutters. Why? Because this was actually a circle here and this was a small cutout for a 2-pin connector like the ones that you get on consoles. But I wanted to use this. Okay. मुझे use करना था ये. I wanted to use this connector. Now this connector slots in here and I did this soldering myself by the way. This one. I have a video which I will upload later. And I'm so proud of the way this soldering came out. Because first time I did soldering. Okay, and this is how it's going to connect here. Now I cut it in a way so that I can align these screws correctly. Okay, so see this one, and I could not drill another another hole inside this because it's made out of metal and I don't have the right tools for it. So I filed that a little bit so that it aligns over here with one of these holes, and I can now screw this thing together and it will get connected. So I'll do that. And this is some stuff that you'll have to do with such a case, you know. I mean, thoda bahut get into zones which you are not comfortable with or not done before. So this comes in there and this one will come in like this. Somebody is asking why am I using this? Because of this alignment. It's easier to use these, see, and align them. These are two standoffs which I took out from a motherboard. I'm using them. It's just easier to connect it like this and use this. So now this is a solid connector here and it doesn't move. So you'll see that. Okay. We have a 3-pin connector here, normal 3-pin connector. It's it's fine. You can just do it. I mean, take the case and do it. It's fine. I mean, क्या होगा ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा? You'll just ruin the case. I mean, the amount of money I spent for this case is a lot, and I would not take a pair of pliers to something that I've paid so much for. But I had to do it, and there was no other way. So when you put yourself in that kind of a situation, then you have to do it. तो कोई ऑप्शन नहीं रहेगा तो यही होता है यू कम आउट विथ सॉल्यूशंस अब ये बहुत ट्रिकी पार्ट होने वाला है क्या गेटिंग दिस इन बिकॉज लास्ट टाइम यहीं पे इशू था मुझे इसके पहले मैं 2060 KO यूज़ कर रहा था एंड उसके पहले मैं एक 1060 यूज़ करता था and the 1060 was a bit wider. It was so wide that I could not fit this inside it with it. तो मैंने क्या किया था I took out this plate and ये PSU है okay I took out this plate and the GPU was half inside the PSU. So that's the kind of things that I've experimented and done with this case. Like ये मैं normal case के साथ करूँ scope ही नहीं है. Like open up a PSU and connect the GPU so close to it? No ways. कोई मुझे बोलेगा करने में बोलूँगा भाड़ में जा साला मैं नहीं कर रहा ये but with this it's fine we've done that so now this fits in nicely over here to support that and I have this sponge which I took out from a piece of foam which I took out and I'm going to use that over here so this will just wedge in and when I close this side it will sandwich the GPU and keep it in place stop it from shaking around तो ये अपना PSU का कनेक्टर हो गया okay that's done so we can hide those wires hide these wires as well slightly somewhere yep hide that there I guess it's fine nothing's happening there ketchup and mustard making some love okay so ये हो गया now we bring in the sides slide this in okay I think the ketchup mustard will have to go somewhere else जगह नहीं है उधर उन लोग के लिए now if you want to build something in the same case there are people who keep this outside right and that's called like a external brick this is called a brickless build where basically everything is inside so I wanted a brickless build hi Sora when I'm bored something to watch yeah man Sora but I can't say the same about your Twitch and if I'm bored I wouldn't watch okay just kidding uh, इसके स्क्रूज कहाँ पर है I think ये है इसके स्क्रूज what did I upgrade I upgraded the CPU and the GPU GPU is 3060 and CPU is 5600 okay so इसको screw कर लेते हैं यार ये screws ना magnetic नहीं होते क्यों यार magnetic है बच गया This was much simpler than the old GPU that I had. This was the older one. I'll show you. Wait. This one. 2060 KO. See if I put it here, it was slightly taller than this. Slightly, by with just half a centimeter or 1 centimeter. And that half or 1 centimeter makes such a big difference in this case. It makes it such a more easier build. Yes, there is enough breathing space. There is more than enough breathing space. Like the other GPU, even when was stress testing it, it would run up to 85 degrees, 81, 85, which is fine for a GPU. And you'll see the top of this case is such that this is not, airflow is not an issue. Airflow is not an issue with this case. This was a pretty simple slide, and I actually expected a lot more. I expected it to be a lot more difficult than what it was. So that's good. Okay, now for the rest. This also, sorry, this will also just slide in here and it will just stay in place, sandwiched with the help of the cables. Okay, so first we'll connect these cables. Get in place, my friend. Okay, and now we just bend them with love and then just get it in there. Chandar, sale. Okay, just smash these wires in between. That's it. It's just going to be there purely on based on the force which these wires are pressing against it. There with the force of these wires. That's it. Nothing else. Now there are shorter cables which are there custom made. I might order them later. But for now we'll just use this and let it be. Okay. So this is for the GPU. So we'll first hide this cable. Okay, can we hide you here? Yes, you can hide there. Okay. You can actually get it from the other side and get it up top, right? Yeah, can do that. इसको यहाँ से लेते हैं. Wait. इसको यहाँ नीचे से लेते हैं GPU के. These kind of gymnastics are required for such a case. Oh, I should have done this before putting the GPU in. It would have made it so much easier. No, we can find out some way to do it anyways. We can figure out a way. We can make it if we try. Get down there, Baba. So now you're going to build another PC? No, 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 no. I'm not. How many watts is this PSU? 400 watts. It's enough. 400 watts is enough. एक बार ऊपर कैमरा में देख के अपना फैंस को और मुझे हेलो बोल दो, वो एंड में करेगा असद भाई, एंड में होएगा वो. 400 watts, yeah, it's enough, Mansi. No need to worry. You will see. People have run a 1080 Ti on this. You just need to undervolt if needed. But which I will be doing anyways. Last time also, my case when I was using the actually I'll take these wires from the top only. वो नीचे से ना बहुत टेंशन हो रहा है, प्रेस करेंगे उसके अगेंस्ट वो कट सकते हैं वहाँ पर वो. This is wasted wrongly. Okay. People have run 1080 Ti's on this. It's more than enough. The rated GPU, the rated PSU wattage given by the GPU manufacturers was always overestimated, and they always have a buffer. So you don't need to worry about that. This is more than enough. Okay, and you'll see this mess over there, which is which is sad. Okay. Okay, and then we have the 8-pin PSU to CPU connector here. कौन सी साइड ऊपर है? ये साइड ऊपर है. Okay, so everything is connected. Take this, we'll fold it as well. We'll put it below this so that it gives more tension on that side. See, if you guys watching ever think about building a PC and think like मैं इसमें build करूँ क्या? I don't know. Okay, I honestly don't know if I would recommend it for a beginner. But in all fairness, this is only the second PC that I built. So if you're willing to spend some time figuring things out, then go ahead. And it's a really fun case to build in. Really fun case. I had lots of fun, and I like the fact that when I'm traveling, I can just pack this in my bag and go. And it will give me heck of more performance than any gaming laptop could. Okay, so keep that there and then we slide this in. यहाँ से डालते हैं ताकि अच्छे से सैंडविच हो जाए वो सब चीज़ें. थोड़ा विजुअल्स के लिए इधर से. 400 is not very tricky, Mansi. देखो, see 65 watts is going to be the CPU. Okay, on max this will run around 200 watts max. So even if I add those 200 plus 65, 265, then I add another 20 watts for all the other stuff, right? RAM, uh, this fan, hard disks, all of that if I add that. So that will be another 20. So I'm still running at 285. Let's push it to 300 and still I have a 100 watt margin, and this is rated at 400 watts, but it can actually go up to 440, which people have done when they have actually sawed off PSUs and put those in. Put sawed off PSUs inside this case. So it's fine. No need to worry about that. And always you can just undervolt. If it's not running cool enough or if it's drawing up too much power, you can always undervolt, and there's no harm in doing that. In fact, I got better performance from my 2600 while undervolted because it was not running as hot as it would on stock. It wouldn't throttle as much. On stock, it was throttling more. So that's the plan with this as well. I will eventually end up underclocking this as well. Both the GPU, undervolting the GPU as well as the CPU. I will undervolt both of them by a few watts, few volts. Okay, done. So now the only thing we need to connect is this. And khalas, that's it. I am done. The PC should now run fine. It's connected, and we'll slide this wire inside here as well. Go to the jungle, stay there. Okay, this can stay here. And just keep the vents open. Yep, this is down there. Now you're worried about the cooling. See, this is the top grill. You can see it has all of these vents on it. So these cutouts make it very easy for it to get airflow. And this is all brushed aluminum, so it's passively cooling the components as well. देखो असद भाई, this is smaller than your PS4, but it can give 144 FPS, and now it can give 144 at 4K. Okay, now let's get these screws inside. It's heavy though. Okay, it doesn't look that heavy, but it's very heavy. I think the last time I weighed this, it weighs around 7 or 8 kilos. And if you're carrying this in your trolley bag, this would be probably the only thing you'd want to carry. And if you're carrying it in a laptop bag, then you don't want that laptop bag on your shoulder. So it's heavy, but it has its own benefits as well. Now, I have traveled with this. Like when I went to India, I took this with me, and you just plug it in and you game. Even for work, when I traveled, I took this with me. I took an HDMI cable, connected that to the hotel TV, and I was gaming on that. So this is much better than a gaming laptop, in my opinion. I mean, I had a laptop for some time. Then I had a laptop with a GPU dock, and then I finally decided that no, it's not something that I want. I want something that's a lot more easier and a lot more functional and powerful as well. Like with an external GPU dock, right, you lose out around 40 to 60% of the GPU's capacity just because of that. Yeah, yeah, it's as heavy as a normal PC. I mean, it's lighter than a normal PC, but this thing weighs like around 7 to 8 kilos. A normal PC, I mean, depending on which case you're using, right, it wouldn't be as heavy or it would be as heavy. It depends on which case you're using. Like my brother's PC, just the case it weighs 30 kilos. Just the case. He has like one of these giant extended ATX cases, which is very heavy. done. I think once this is done, I'll just show you the shot of the case because it's a very beautiful case and I really love it. And I'm actually thinking of painting this as well now. I want to take out these sides and paint them matte black. Okay, I can't screw that there because it's not fitting in. That's it. The case is done. Assembled. Took very little time. You can keep it. Some people keep it like this, and they have a power button somewhere here, and I like that as well. Let me try to take out the camera and show you. Okay, wait. Just bear with me for a few seconds. Sorry, 1 second. This will take some time because I have my light attached here. Oh, okay. Oh, fine. Okay. So here you go. Oh, cable is there. Okay. So here you go. This is what it looks like. Let me flip the screen around. Wait. Transform. Just give me a second guys, I'm just flipping the screen around. Transform, rotate 180. Transform. Okay, there you go. Okay, so now let me go back. This is the case. This is the case. What it looks like. Like it, and I keep it like this. This is how the case normally is kept. We get some lights on it so you guys can get a better look for. Yep, so there you go. Sorry for the shaky camera, I'm just using it in my hand. This is what it looks like now. And this definitely looks better than any PlayStation or Xbox right now. Even though the new PlayStation 5 looks really nice, if you see the edges on this and the finishing on this, and just look at this brushed aluminum, really nice. Really excellent fitting. Right? See? Excellent finishes on it. Now these are rubber things which I kept on top of it because I don't want it to scratch my desk. And that's how it is. This is well worth the money I spent for it, I think. Because I know it becomes limiting in terms of what I can and I can't do or what components I can use. But it's an excellent form factor. Like, just love this. It's brushed aluminum and it's such a small form factor. You can, in fact, the new version that he has made for this, the guy who is making these cases, it's slightly wider than this. Okay, so maybe by just a few centimeters. And what that does is it allows you to flip the GPU. so that the GPU and the CPU are facing the same side, and you can keep it flat on the desk, and the ventilation vents will be on top for both of them. So that is also really nice. And we'll just connect it now and boot it up. And let me also start using autofocus so that we don't have to worry about this now. It's not getting into autofocus. Manual focus, autofocus. Can you? Yeah, autofocus. There we go. No, don't do that shit. Shit. Okay, wait. Let's get rid of the manual focus. Keep it on manual only. Boot it up. Okay, wait. Let me boot it up. Give me a second. I'll connect it and boot it up. Let me just clear some stuff out before I boot it up for you. I have not downloaded the drivers for it, for the GPU. So it will boot up, but I don't think it will run in the mode. And I don't have a mouse connected either, but let's see, we'll boot it up anyways. Okay, there we go. It's connected. Oh, this manual focus is still there, no? It hasn't gone. Okay, that's booting up now. Can connect it on this. Wait. What the fuck happened here? Press F1 to continue. Where's my keyboard? F1 to continue. Okay. Quit without saving, yes. Ah, हाँ लेते लेते. Just give me a second, guys. There we go. And this is the funny stuff about my TV, man. It just likes to... Wait, let me get the focus first and then I'll show you guys. Focusing. क्या हो गया इसको? Ah, okay, because it's autofocus, that's why. Okay. New device. PC. This is connected to the TV, so that's why. So there it is, it's booted up. Don't look at the clock, it's not working properly. It got reset today morning. We lost power due to an unrelated incident. wasn't me. So let's connect and let's check. Is it focused correctly? I don't think so. It is focused correctly, is it? Oh, there we go. The mouse is not connected. Let me connect the mouse as well. Go personalize. No, NVIDIA settings. I don't think the NVIDIA control panel would be working right now. Would be, but it would be, yeah, it's giving 1080p. See. Let's try it 4K. This is 4K. Oh, nice. Looks really nice. Awesome. What do you guys want to see? You play on that screen? No, 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 no. This is connected to the TV, and I play only Flight Simulator on it. The normal screen is this one. Wait, I'll show you. The normal screen that I use, I've connected that to the laptop right now, which I'm using to stream. Okay. This is the screen that I use. This one. So this is the screen I use. That's a BenQ XL2411. I made an unboxing video about this, and long term, if you ask me, I'm okay with it. I'm happy that I've been using this, but I would have been happier with the 32-inch that I had before this. So I had a 32-inch BenQ, which was a 1080p monitor, but I was super sampling that to 2K at 1440p, and it was a VA panel, so there was more input lag. So this screen is actually faster, but I don't know. I liked that screen more now. I just sold it to someone after I got this screen, but looking back, I think I would have wanted to keep that screen instead of this one, because that was a lot more screen real estate than this. So I enjoyed that more. So editing or doing any work, that was a lot more fun on that screen. This screen is very tiny. It's good for gaming, but otherwise, I don't think this has any benefit. Okay, wait. Let me just fix things before I ouch, show my face and I say bye to everyone. Screwdriver. Yeah. I have to connect stuff back. Connect the mouse. There you go. Wait, this is zoomed in a lot. I need some lights. Some lights, sweet. Oh god, this is going to pinch on the eyes so much. It's fine. You guys can see me? Yes. Okay, I'll sit like this so we guys can take questions. What light are you using that can be used with the webcam? I will show you. I'm using two of them. It's these ones, Amaran. I got them on sale and they keep coming on sale for very cheap. I got one of them for $30. Even lesser than 30, I think it was 25 bucks. So I got a pair for 50 bucks. अरे thank you Bushit bhai, आपके जैसी. So it works without cables as well. This one has run out of battery now, so it won't work. I was using this wired, but there is one on top of the camera which I'm using, and that's not wired right now. See, and it comes with diffusers on it, and it also comes with a hot shoe. So let's see, you can take out the hot shoe adapter, and you can just use this as it is. And it comes with these diffusers, two diffusers. It has like a white one and an orange one and a transparent one, and then you have the normal diffuser on it, which you can use to make yourself look scary also. It's a nice investment. If you get it for cheap at a discount, then it's worth it. There is another one which comes for on sale. It was for 60 dollars, and that was with RGB. So you can actually control it uh, via an app and set what colors you want. That was also a very good deal. But I didn't want RGB at this point in time. I mean, like right now, I'm just starting off, and I didn't want an RGB light. I couldn't find any use for an RGB light, to be honest. I don't know how I will use it and where I will use it. Maybe for B-rolls or something, but not much use for me. So I didn't get that. But yeah, if you like to make videos or if you want it for webcams, then yeah, it's very small and you can stack. No, you can't stack. There is another one from another company which actually allows you to stack them on one on top of the other. So it basically has a hook over here and it has a fitting on this side. And it lets you slide it and fix on all four sides. So you can actually increase it and have more if you want, more light if you want. So this is how the white light looks with the normal diffuser. And as I said, you get this one, you get this one. This is like a yellow light diffuser, so it makes it yellowish. This just makes the light softer. And there is another one just like this, which is blue in color. So it just gives you a bluish tone. Let me see. This one thing I didn't like about it, it's very flimsy. Like these are not cut out in the same size as these lights are. See these lights and see the cutout size. Look at the cutout size, right? They could have just made like acrylic cards or harder plastic, which could just slide in on top. But they just cheaped out on this. It's just like better transparency, but it's still cheap. That's fine. You can make your own. You can cut it by yourself, or you can just get sheets from outside, cut them yourself, and use them on this from this for the same size. That's it. FPS check when? FPS check I will do after I install all the drivers. I have not installed the GPU driver on it. So I will install that and I will then connect it and stream with it. So we'll do the FPS check at the same time. Or maybe I'll just make a video of the FPS check and I can't do a comparison with the 2060 because I I didn't run a benchmark with the 2060. I just took it out, and even with the CPU. But let's see. We'll try to do something. Maybe I'll try playing. I'll try playing Microsoft Flight Simulator on it on 4K. That's what I wanted to do, and that was one of the main reasons for getting it. So we'll try doing that, and hopefully that will be fun, and we'll showcase the real benefit of getting a 3060. I would have loved to put the 60 Ti because the Ti has like a good 12 to 20% performance boost over and above the 3060. So that's really much better in terms of value because it doesn't cost much more than the 3060. I just missed out on that offer. I had to get it. This was available, so I took it. I paid more for this than I would have paid for the 60 Ti. The Ti was actually around 5 to 6,000 rupees cheaper than this, but the guy had sold it to someone. So he sold it at a cheaper price than this. Why he sold it cheaper was because that was an LHR version, a low hash rate. This one is not an LHR version. So hopefully, if crypto goes up, I could sell this and get my money back. I could even sell my 2060 KO because the KO, if you didn't notice, when the KO came out, what they did was they used 3070 chips on it, which were which were having slight manufacturing defects. So it had a die of a 3070 with some cores disabled. So in terms of mining, the KO, even though it was not as powerful gaming wise compared to a normal 2060, in mining it gave better performance because the die was better and it could be overclocked if you had access to the BIOS. The BIOS on this by default is locked. You cannot overclock, underclock, nothing. You cannot change the voltages. You can only uh, increase the frequency. So if you can get a custom BIOS for it, then this 2060 KO is really much better than the 2060. So okay, so that's it. We've assembled the PC, and you guys have seen it was like a very simple process. It took less an hour and a half, and that's like struggling with it, right? And if it was a simpler case, if it was a normal case, it would be much faster because you could assemble everything outside the case and then just slide it in, and the time would be spent mainly on cable management. Over here, we had to actually check how does it fit, do some cable management in tight spots. So a normal case like would be much easier and much faster than this, and it's very easy. And let's see how. Let me know how your experience also is if you guys go ahead and build a PC. And if you need any help or if you want to know how to do it, then you guys can take a look at it. Nostalgic build, compact and nostalgic. I'm glad you liked it, honestly. I keep recommending small cases to everyone, but people are afraid that it will not cool as much, it will throttle, heating issues honge. But with this specific case, that's not the case. It's much cooler. It runs cool, and on the last time when I had the 2600, the one which I replaced, I ran Furmark on it as well as a stress test for the CPU. And the CPU was going up, hitting up to like 90, 91 degrees. But that's it. It wouldn't hit more than that. So it was able to hit its maximum frequencies, go up to 90 degrees, work fine. The GPU would also go up till 80, 81 degrees. And that was also fine. This is without undervolting or anything. When I undervolted, I got better performance. The CPU actually hit higher clocks, and the GPU, not that much of a difference. The GPU power consumption reduced, so the heat reduced, but the performance was the same. But for the CPU, it actually hit higher clocks than the stock. So it actually was very helpful. And can we see the stream when you decide to modify the case someday? We could do it. I But the thing is, see, the case mod that I'm planning to do with it is I want to paint the case, right? So I will scrub it with sandpaper. So three different grades of sandpaper. I will scrub it off. Then I will apply some primer and then I will paint it. But I'm painting straight out of a can because I don't know how to use airbrushes. I saw my dad use it. I don't know how to use it. Okay. I tried it before. I don't have one. If I did, then maybe I would have tried it. But just for a quick job, I'll do a spray paint and maybe finish it off with some clear coat. So that will be a long process because the thing with painting is you put one coat, you wait for it to cure. Then you put the second coat, you wait for it to cure. Wait, then you put the third coat. Then these are just three coats of primer. After that is done, you sand it off, make it a bit smooth. Then you apply your first, second, third coat of paint again in the same way. You paint, you apply the paint, wait for it to cure. Second coat, wait for it to cure. After that, you do the same with your clear coat as well. So it's a long process. I don't know if that can be done on stream, or, to be honest. But I mean, casual use. It can be for heavy loads. Let's see, how can a 400 watt PSU handle a 3060 and a Ryzen in long? It can. It easily can. See, like the last system, the power draw was 280 watts. Now for power draw is around 280 to 90 watts. It's not more than that. People have used, I think there's some socket which comes which you plug into your normal power outlet, and that will calculate and show you how much power usage, power is being used. And people have done that with this system. They did it with the 60 Ti, and the maximum power draw was around, as I said, it was around 280, 290. That's it, not more than that. It's still within the safe limits. And this can go up till 440 watts, the PSU. It it is a gold rated PSU with, I think, a 92% efficiency, 90 or 92% efficiency. So it can go more than 400 watts. Make a video of case modifications if it's not too much trouble. I don't do much case modifications. The only modification I did on this case was cutting that PSU hole. But if, yeah, there are any other modifications, I will make a video. Uh, I don't know if I'll stream it, but definitely I will make a video. Like I said, streaming it, if I'm painting it, it will be, you will be watching that stream for maybe 2 days. And you will literally be watching paint dry. So so that's not going to be real fun, is it? But I'll try. I'll try. I definitely want to paint this case because even though I like its finish of the brushed aluminum and black aluminum in the front, I want to paint it matte black, and it gives it a more stealthy look, and it makes it look even more like a laptop. Talking about laptops, I can't com I could compare it with my laptop. Let's see if I can. No, I can't. My laptop is far away. It's actually wired up. I would have shown you the comparison with the laptop. I want a small case for next PC setup. Yeah, Bushit, if you want, you can get a small case. Like a good small case right now. It's not really a small case, but it's smaller than a normal case. Okay, you can look at the Cooler Master NR200. I have that. I bought that case, and I actually wanted to build all of this inside that case. But I had to make space for my son on my desk, and my desk is literally just 45 by 75. So I had to move my monitor away from it. And because I have over here, it's like a POP wall. It's a plaster of Paris wall. I cannot drill it, so I could not mount my monitor. So what I did is I'll try to show you. I don't know if you guys can see this, but let's try this, okay? So I got this tool. I opened it up. नहीं दिख रहा है. Okay, wait. I took this tool and I opened it up. So this is just the frame of the stool. This is the frame of the stool. Now behind that, I used uh, a desktop, a monitor mount, and I put that on that stool. And now this is my desk. Okay, and the desk just basically slides in. So the desk is here. So the desk will be like this. Okay. So it gives my son more space on the desk because this is then mounted back, and it's behind. He has more space on this desk. So because of that, I cannot fit that NR200 over here. If I fit it, then it will not have enough place for the air intakes, because the NR200, the way it is, it has air intakes on one side and the exhaust is on the top. So I was planning to keep it on the side where that white thing is, my son's toy. I was planning to keep it there. But now because of this, the stool takes up so much space, I cannot fit it there. I would have otherwise built it in the NR200. And that's a really lovely case. I mean, take a look at it. There is one guy called Optimum Tech. He has made a build in it, and he's water cooled it, and it's amazing. It's a very beautiful case, very pretty. For very cheap, you get a case with tempered glass, and it's very small. Oh yeah, this is more of DIY than tech, to be honest. Yeah, kind of. It is, you can say. I like doing that kind of stuff, like repurposing things from what they actually are supposed to be. Like, oh, I didn't show you guys this. You haven't seen this. But I mounted my camera over here on this. Oh, battery's off. Oh, so sad. Okay, I think I'll have to cut it over here. I can't show you what I did. Actually, I'm mounting the camera on top of a mic stand, and I'm using an adapter which actually goes on top of the mic holder, so that screw then becomes a smaller screw on which you can actually fit your camera, because the diameter of both of them is different. So for a mic it's actually 3/4, and for a camera it is 5/6. And sorry, yeah, and for a camera it is 5/16. So I'll put a photo on Twitter. You guys can see that. I think that's it. I think this also gives me a good idea about how much my camera can run. It can run for around 1 hour, 50 minutes, 54 minutes. So that's good. I was expecting it to run out of battery much faster than that. And affordable DSLR to use as a stream cam. Mm, see, there are two ways to stream using a camera. One is the camera software itself. Like Canon has its Canon EOS webcam software. You can use that. The second one is to use an Elgato capture card. So you use the HDMI output of your HDMI output from your camera, connect it to an Elgato, and then you use the Elgato and connect that to OBS, like how I am doing right now. When should you use which one? Depends on you. Like in my case, when I was using the webcam software, my laptop was not able to handle it. And when I tried it on my computer, the computer was also acting funny because it works fine on my laptop, But on my PC, it doesn't stream properly. It keeps cutting and I keep getting a blank screen. So I don't know. But if you're really tight on a budget, uh, I would say if it were up to me, I would get like a second-hand DSLR for cheap. I would get a second-hand Elgato for cheap and hook those two up. I got this camera as a birthday gift like 2 years back. Otherwise, I am not sure if I would get this DSLR camera. And if you just want to check, then you can always connect your mobile and use that as a webcam. Even though that like kills your battery and your camera on the mobile, it heats it up a lot. But if you just want to check it out and see how it works, you can do that. The quality is very good because I have done a couple of streams using only the mobile cam, and that was really good. I was pretty happy with it. So you can do that. But yeah, if you have a capture card, then you can just get the cheapest DSLR that you can get. Maybe get a Nikon because those are cheaper. Check which ones are cheaper in your place. Check the lenses which are cheaper because not all lenses fit on all DSLRs. Like I got this mirrorless camera. If it were up to me, I wouldn't get a mirrorless camera. I would have instead bought a normal DSLR on which I can use more regular lenses. So even though this has its own benefits, there are some limitations to that as well. Like on a mirrorless camera, you get a closer shot compared to the DSLR. But the lenses that fit on this mirrorless camera are much more expensive than the normal cam. So it depends on what you want to do and how much you're willing to spend. But I can send you links though of people who have discussed this in great detail and who will explain their setups. But in general, if you want to know just about cameras, there is this guy called Jet Potato. He makes really good and informative videos about different cameras, how they work. He uses them in his setup and he gives his comments on that. So he's like a professional photographer come videographer. आ जाओ फोर्टनाइट नहीं यार अभी सोना है मुझे हसन भाई कल ऑफिस है मेरा अभी मैं सिर्फ पैक कर रहा हूँ मेरा सब सामान मुझे सब डेस्क क्लियर करना है वरना बीवी कल मारेगी सुबह को वो सोने के पहले पूछ कर गई है कि सुबह तक ये रहेगा सेटअप कि सब नॉर्मल हो जाएगा वापस तो आई प्रॉमिस्ड हर इट विल बी नॉर्मल डोंट वरी सो इट अगर वो फिक्स नहीं किया ना मैंने तो मैं फिक्स हो जाऊंगा समझे कि इसको पैक कर देते हैं क्या कैसा था वीडियो लाइक पेस कैसा था हाउ डिड यू गाइस लाइक इट पेस कैसा था लाइक हाउ वाज the talk through was it informative was it engaging कैसा था I need to know and next time it's like you'd like to watch streams like this या फिर you want to watch videos I'm confused I don't know if I want to do a video or I want to do a stream because I was thinking if I get like parts I'll probably do a PC assembly with my son and have him assemble it like it would scare the shit out of my wife a lot, but I would like to get him to do some PC building. And I would also be shit scared, to be honest, because the parts that would be there with him would be like pretty expensive ones. But yeah, that's one plan that I'm planning to do. Total newbie, it was a bit complicated. It was still complicated because of compact build and okay. लेट हो गया क्या मैं हाँ खत्म होने को है क्रेडिट but it's okay. I'm happy that you came. Late or not, it doesn't matter. I'm packing everything up now. इसके अंदर एक्चुअली मैंने दिखाया नहीं बट एक टाइम था जब मैंने इसके अंदर 2 SSD भी इंस्टॉल किए थे इनसाइड दिस केस. आपको लाइव सही लगता है या वीडियो फॉर्म? आई थिंक फॉर दिस काइंड ऑफ बिल्ड्स लाइव, but for other stuff I think video. But again, like a video takes time, but I'm fine with that. I don't have issues with video taking time to make. Like in stuff like this where I'm doing something, I thought अगर मैं ऐसे stream करके बताऊँ ना, so people will actually be able to see the full process from start to end. Like a lot of people are really afraid of building PCs, and I don't know why. I mean, like I never learned how to build a PC. When my dad got me a PC, the first thing I did after I think that after 2 days, I opened it pura, and he didn't say anything. Surprisingly, I mean, like if it was me now and my son did that, भाई बेचारा तो बहुत डांट खाता था. My son would have got so much scoldings for doing something like that. He just told me, "It's fine. You opened it. Put it back together." And I put it back together. Took me another 4 days, but I put it back together somehow. So he was very patient. अरे कोई नहीं यार, sorry क्या है. So, so that's why I want to test myself also. Like I want to give my son the pass to make a PC. Like I'll help him and guide him, but I want him to do all the fixing. So I'll just tell him क्या किधर डाल fix करना है, कैसे करना है fix and all of that stuff. And I'll get him to fix it. That is the plan actually. So let's see. मेरा मॉड ले लिया. हर्ष तुम्हारा मॉड था कब? टेक चटनी पे शायद किसी के पास भी मॉड नहीं है. टेक चटनी इज मॉड फ्री राइट नाउ एटलीस्ट. बिकॉज मैं इस पे स्ट्रीम ही नहीं करता हूँ. सो देयर वाज नो नीड टू हैव अ मॉड. आई थिंक ये सेकंड स्ट्रीम है इसका. इसके पहले माइक का मैंने स्ट्रीम किया था. बट दैट्स इट. वी विल गेट देम नेक्स्ट टाइम. नहीं हर्ष, तुमको तो नहीं मिलेगा अब. ऐसे तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं. हाँ तो वही लाइक आई वाज प्लानिंग कि अभी ये मेरे पास सीपीयू है, जीपीयू भी है. All I need is now another motherboard and a PSU, and I will assemble everything in the NR200p. कूलर भी उसका मैंने मंगा के रखा है. कूलर भी है मेरे पास में. लाइक बहुत अच्छा सा उसका कूलर मंगा के रखा है. एंड इवन दो यू कैन मेक a water cooled build. In that, my plan is actually to go with air cooling. क्योंकि I prefer air cooling, lesser parts that can fail, lesser issues. आपने बोला था फेस कैम हो गया, मेरा बैटरी भी खत्म हो गया, तो इसके लिए अभी सिर्फ अभी पॉडकास्ट चल रहा है. पॉडकास्ट नहीं, एक्चुअली मोनोलॉग चल रहा है, सो वेयर आई एम जस्ट टॉकिंग, बाकी सब सुन रहे हैं. हाँ ना, ग्रेट. एंड मेरा आइडिया उसके साथ ये है टू शो पीपल दैट and to make people get convinced that it's something very simple and it's not complicated. We can just do it, not be scared. Like this is really very little that can go wrong while assembling a PC. क्योंकि अगर तुमने गलत कर भी लिया ना तो पीसी बूट ही नहीं करेगा. That's the worst thing. What can happen? पीसी बूट नहीं करेगा. And then you can recheck and redo, reattempt. क्या करना है, क्या नहीं करना है. It's pretty simple. चलो, मैं फिर स्ट्रीम बंद करता हूँ. विच इज़ द बेस्ट लैपटॉप फॉर गेमिंग? मुझे अभी नहीं पता. मैं गेमिंग लैपटॉप्स देखना बंद कर दिया, और मुझे अभी नए वाले लैपटॉप्स तो पता भी नहीं है. लाइक भूषित भाई माइट नो बेटर. अच्छा, गेमिंग लैपटॉप भी चाहिए और एक्सपेंसिव भी नहीं चाहिए तो कुछ भी नहीं मिले. आई मीन देखो, एंट्री लेवल भी जो है वो भी बहुत महंगे हैं. मैंने अपना पीसी प्री बिल्ड करके मंगाया था. देयर इज नथिंग रॉन्ग इन गेटिंग अ प्री बिल्ड पीसी, इट्स फाइन. एंड अभी तो प्राइसेस ऐसे हैं, इट्स द सेम वेदर यू बिल्ड इट or you get it assembled. I think the only benefit you get of building your PC is now is like choosing the parts. That's it. Nothing else. Price wise, so you'll probably get it cheaper pre-built. I mean, मैं यहाँ पे देख रहा था, कुवैत में भी it's like the pre-builds are very very cheap. I mean, if you were to assemble and get something, or assemble and get the same thing, it might cost you slightly more. So it's actually uh, makes sense to actually get a pre-built rather than getting something assembled. Yes. Oh, okay. I thought we got disconnected for some reason. Sorry. So, like, if it were me, I would, I wouldn't mind assembling PCs for someone else. Even अगर किसी को कराना है तो, because I just enjoy assembling it. Jan में मंगाया है, then COVID, then crypto hype came. वाह. अरे बाप रे, ये ट्रैश टॉक कर रहा है बहुत. चलो, ठीक है गाइस, मैं फिर अभी बंद कर देता हूँ. एंड होपफुली नेक्स्ट टाइम मिलते हैं. आई विल पुट अ वीडियो वेयर आई डिड द मोडिंग फॉर द पावर सॉकेट. उसका मैंने वीडियो बना दिया है, उसका खाली वॉइस ओवर ऐड करना बाकी है. तो आई थिंक वंस, मे बी बाय नेक्स्ट वीक आई ट्राई टू अपलोड इट. उसका एक बार वॉइस ओवर हो गया, देन आई विल अपलोड इट सून. उसमें और कुछ करना नहीं है. वीडियो बन गया, एडिट हो गया, एवरीथिंग इज डन. चलो फिर, थैंक यू गाइज, होप यू गाइज हैड फन. फिर मिलते हैं बाद में नेक्स्ट टाइम. चलो, टेक केयर, गुड नाइट, एंड थैंक्स फॉर स्टेइंग अप टिल सो लेट. मीन्स अ लॉट. चलो, बाय बाय.